Read the syllabus.
I've been reading posts from this Reddit for years and I finally decided I'll post. Though it's a nerd problem, I thought it belonged here. Years ago, when I was in college, I was obsessed with getting a perfect GPA. It's a long story why, but I wanted one. Everything went great for the first 3 years of college, and there were no issues. That is, until I took this one awful computer networks class. The class itself was super easy, and for the most part, I had no issues with the material. I got the highest score on the first test and actually helped teach one of the labs since my recent internship taught me a lot of the skills that the lab required. Then came the second test. I was president of a club that had to travel for a competition on the day we had a critical lesson for questions on the second test.
I made up the lesson, after also telling the professor that I'd been gone 2 weeks in advance. A small percent of my grade went to participation, but his syllabus specifically said that the grade was based on participation and not specific days attended. I get through the test with a decent score and think nothing of it. I ace the third exam, and he inputs our final grades. I noted that he specifically lowered my grade to an A, which ruined my GPA. He lowered my participation by a massive amount of points. When I asked what the hell that was about, he said that I missed a critical class and missed the question on the test related to that class. When I asked him how that impacted my participation score, he didn't give an answer other than I should read the syllabus. So, I did. I wrote a 1-page letter outlining his entire participation policy and even gave specific examples of how I participated in the class. I copied the dean of the school, since I actually knew them from an unrelated incident, and sent him the letter. Needless to say, I have never seen a professor backtrack so hard in my life. He apologized profusely and gave me the right score, literally needed to add 3 freaking points. It was probably one of the satisfying arguments that I ever won.
I'd give you the points just for going above and beyond in proving that you deserve them. That's an A+ effort. Keep in mind that this is in the context of an otherwise straight A student who was dinged for not participating during an excused absence. This is not a matter of I got a D, but I think I deserved an A. Mediocrity shining through.
Man, I feel you on the whole perfect GPA almost getting messed up because of a lousy professor thing. My last semester of undergrad, I had a class where the final grade came out as an A. I was confused because right before the final exam I had a 98%. And knew I had done well on that exam. I emailed the professor and asked for my grade breakdown because I was confused as to how it fell. So far, he told me that it was an error on his part when he was entering grades with a drop-down menu and he would fix it. Graduation comes and goes. Weeks go by. It's still not fixed. I ended up emailing the chair of the department explaining the situation without including the professor's name, asking for advice on what steps I should take. The chair simply responded by asking who the professor was. Grade was fixed the next day. I would not have been happy if my 4.0 had been ruined and never fixed because of an admitted mistake on one professor's part.
Honestly, I was almost relieved when I got my first less than an A grade. I'd had a perfect GPA until then and was starting to feel pressured. I had a full-time job, was a single parent with 4 kids and had a big house as well. I still ended up graduating with high honors.
I went to vocational school, where they were very interested in turning out successful students. When some of us had trouble with a certain instructor's lessons, they actually let us take part of the course over. We were only 20 students strong, but we were there for each other. He was going through so much that he probably should have taken a family medical leave of absence. The poor guy. I hold no grudges against him.
It seems that no matter what school you attend, sooner or later some professor rips you off on your grade.
I've been there with a few professors. One in particular who basically told me in his own way to quit my electronics degree and enter nursing because I'm female. He also assumed since I'm female I spend hours doing my hair and using a hairdryer. I have short hair. Good for you in standing up for this. Even though it is a little thing to many, it is a power trip to him, and just imagine who else he may do this to. Had a similar issue with a lecturer at my music university. Decided to mark me and one other musician down in a mixing class because we apparently weren't as good as the people studying production. Wouldn't have minded so much if we hadn't already complained about not getting access to the same resources and the constant belittling we got. He ended up playing some of the mixes back in a class and actually preferred mine to some of his precious production students. Couldn't be arsed fighting for a regrading because the whole university was starting to implode at that point, and I didn't care anymore.
Don't tell me, you were on the speech and debate team. GPA equals grade point average, to save other non-Americans needing to look it up.
Good for you for sticking up for yourself. But I can't imagine caring about getting a perfect grade or having a perfect GPA. Seriously. An A ruined your GPA? Ruined? Also, I think the idea of getting a 5.0 in honors classes is so far beyond ridiculous as to be contemptible. So is the idea of retaking the SAT to get a better score. I got a great score the one time I took it, and never considered doing it again to get a perfect score. I don't think gaming the educational system should be tolerated in any way. And erasing any bad days one might have had or bad professor encounters so as to have a perfect record presents a distorted version of one's educational history. The number of perfect people in the world is vanishingly small, and the number of people with perfect academic records ought to be about the same. All of this grade inflation inevitably results in cheating scandals, which are rampant in higher education today, and really, all throughout society. Just look at the huge number of fake data in scientific papers today, all driven by the need to polish one's academic resume to perfection. I gave up on having an academic career when I realized what a facade all that apparent perfection really is. You must be fun at parties face with rolling eyes. I don't understand why you would care. Could you explain that? Do understand that I'm not trying to degrade your accomplishment. I'm happy you're happy, but it wouldn't mean a thing to me. Perhaps that's why I never got straight A's. Cold sweat smile. Are you, in any chance, going to law school? Because in my country that is how you go to the law school. You take an entrance exam, miss by a point, and then proceed to appeal and ultimately win an argument about why you should have got that last point. Out of all 126 credits of my undergraduate, my perfect GPA was wrecked by 7 credits, 2 classes with the same professor who gave me an A instead of an A that I felt I worked hard enough for. I'll be bitter about it until I die. So, the American college grading system is determined by students.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.